Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Leanne and I enjoy sharing budget-friendly DIYs with you, and that's what we have in today's video. I've got three really simple, very budget-friendly DIYs using lots of Dollar Tree items and some clearance finds. So let's get started. First up, I'm going to be using this sign that I picked up from Hobby Lobby on clearance for only a couple of bucks. I love finding these types of things on clearance at Hobby Lobby, but you can also find something somewhat similar at the Dollar Tree. I am starting by taking off the little chunk here in the back, because we're actually going to be using the back as the front. I did already take off stickers and sanded that down, so now I'm just trying to remove this little chunk of piece, I don't know what to call it, that has a little sawtooth hanger attached to it, and I didn't want to do any damage to the piece, so I was just using my hairdryer, or you can use a heat gun, to loosen up any glue that's in there to make it come off a little bit easier. And I just used a little scraper tool and worked my way through and popped that off. You could also just pull it off, and I mean, it probably won't damage too much, but these things are definitely put together better than the ones from the Dollar Tree. So there was a little bit that was remaining. I sanded it down best I could, and then I'm going to use that for the bottom. And I'm using this paintbrush and some white Waverly chalk paint. This is a paintbrush from the Dollar Tree. Honestly, this one is not the greatest. The bristles like constantly come out of it, but it's giving me the chippy look, so I'm going with it. So I wanted some of the brown, which is really just the MDF, to pop through because I liked that wood type look. And then I am going to paint the sides and the back of the sign just in a more solid white, just so that they look finished. But you could do this however you wanted to do it. The very back, ultimately, if you hang it on the wall, obviously won't be seen, but if it's on a shelf, you're going to want to finish that by either painting it or covering it with some paper of some kind. And so, like I said, the sides and the back I did with thicker coats, and then the inside I just did more of a chippy, rough look. But do it to your personal preference. If you are new here, please consider subscribing before you leave. I love sharing, like I said, budget-friendly DIYs with you, and I would love to have you be a part of my YouTube community. It does not cost you anything to subscribe, but if you subscribe and hit the notification bell that'll pop up next to it, that'll make sure that you get notified whenever I post a new video. Once the paint was fully dry, I went over it with a sanding block and just kind of smoothed it out, roughed out some of the edges a little bit, and then I apparently did not film the taking this out of the package, but this is a little ceramic wall pocket from the Dollar Tree. They carried it in white and black, and so we are just going to attach this to the inside. It was in like the floral area, vase area in my Dollar Tree, but it might also be near the frames. And I'm just using some super glue gel to attach that. It doesn't actually lay flat on the bottom, so I attached it to the back, but I put it all the way towards the bottom. So I hope that makes sense. And then I'm just using some little floral picks and bent the stems so that they would fit inside of this pocket, and made myself a little bit of an arrangement. Now I do plan to use some command hooks, some Velcro command strips to attach this to my wall, but for now I'm just showing it to you on a table. But I love how this came out. I think it's a really cute planner, and I'm wishing I had picked up more of those little wall pockets to do like a collection of these, but nonetheless, I love it. Moving on, I have this picture frame that I picked up from Hobby Lobby. It was originally $17.99. I picked it up for $1.99 on clearance. It's a large frame. The glass was broken in it, but I don't need the glass for this. So very carefully, I'm going to take off the back, and which was kind of already jammed up a little bit because of the broken glass, and very carefully going to remove the glass and dispose of it. Now they do have frames at the Dollar Tree, and you can also get really good prices at thrift stores, but this was a great find at Hobby Lobby on clearance, and it's a very large frame, so I love that. So I didn't want the like smooth, glossy finish of the black frame, so I'm just dry brushing with a little bit of a white chalk paint just to kind of give it a more of a farmhouse look and get rid of some of the glossy finish. Now I did also cover this with some matte finish Mod Podge, just because the paint did seem like it would chip easily off of the frame, so I did not film that, but I did do that. Now I'm going to take some fabric that I picked up at the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to use the back of the frame and Mod Podge that on. Now, if you wanted it to be a little bit of a brighter background, you might want to paint this first because it does impact like the view through the fabric, but I didn't mind how it came out at all. Um, I'm just doing this in sections with the Mod Podge because I wanted to make sure it was straight because there is a pattern to this fabric and I wanted to make sure that, you know, it didn't look crooked. So I bought this fabric a little bit ago, not super long ago, but a little bit ago at the Dollar Tree because I loved it, but I've been waiting for the perfect project for this. And I was excited when I put this together because I feel like it was just perfect, the perfect job for this fabric. Now I am using, I think it's called like a hard coat Mod Podge because I have that in my collection of Mod Podge from Plaid that they had sent me. And either way, I feel like Mod Podge does make fabric harder, like when it dries, but I don't know, maybe this one is a little bit harder as well. And then I just put this on top of some paint containers so that it was elevated so the fabric could drape down. And I'm putting a very thick coat of this hard coat Mod Podge across the top, just really wanting it to kind of saturate, making sure I'm getting the edges that is fully on. And now I'm going to let that dry. And I've got this little piece from the Dollar Tree. I've had it for at least a year, but they have them again this year. They also have them in the form of like a yard pick. And so I am just using some, well, my hands to bend things back and forth and these wire cutters to take it apart. I just want the windmill piece. So I had to take off this little circle center. We're going to attach that later. And it was like there was a little bit of, I don't know, like little pieces of metal that were preventing me from sliding this off. So I was just kind of ripping them off. It wasn't not hard to do at all. And I got my windmill off. And so I'm not painting mine at all because I really liked the finish of it, but they come in different finishes, one with like a bluish white, blue and white like on it. So if you don't like the color of the windmill, certainly feel free to paint it. And I'm trying to cut it off once this is all dry, but the scissors, I don't know, probably my scissors were just not that great, not that sharp. So I'm just using a cutting tool and a cutting mat, and I'm just going to cut off the excess fabric. This is very easy to do. It comes off super easy, especially once all the Mod Podge is finished. And if you have better scissors, you can probably do it with just your scissors. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. That is a free way, everything is free, but a very free and easy way for you to help me out. Also by commenting down in the comments below, tell me what your favorite DIY was, or just say hello, whatever the case may be. It just helps me out so much for my channel growth, and I also just love hearing from you. So I put the back in the picture frame, and we're just attaching our windmill on. There's only, I showed you that little tiny piece to attach it to, but it does work. And so I just used some super glue gel, attached that on, and then I reattached the little circle finish piece on top. And I did let that dry thoroughly. And even though there wasn't a large space that was in contact with the glue, it's holding up just fine. Kind of looks like there's a little bit of reflection in this shot. I'm not totally sure why, but I love how this came out. I'm really excited to use this. I wanted something to put on there that didn't have words since the fabric itself had words, and I thought the windmill was a perfect little farmhouse touch, and I love how that came out. So our last DIY is a very simple one. I picked up this sign once again from Hobby Lobby. It was from their Easter clearance. I only paid a couple bucks for it, and I've been, again, trying to find the perfect thing to do for it. So I'm just going to sand it down a little bit. If I had sanded it down a little bit more, I probably wouldn't need as much paint, but I sanded it and wiped off the, the dust. And I'm going to use my Waverly chalk paint and a little bit of water. My chalk paint is getting really thick at the bottom of the container, so I just am keeping my paintbrush damp as I'm doing this. And I'm going to give this a couple of really light coats. I'm not going to cover everything because I really like that chippy look along the edge, but that paint was a little bit more cream than white. So I'm going in with my Waverly chalk paint in white because that's going to match what we're doing better, and I want to cover up the words. I did dry it with my hairdryer in between. I usually try to use my cool setting, although I don't think the paint cracks really as much on like a wood surface, but heat can make it crack. So I got a couple coats on there until the words were fully covered, and now I'm just taking my sandpaper, trying to clean up the little faux slats here in between.
And then I just went over the whole thing to just kind of smooth out any brush strokes, sand off some off the edges, but not too much on the main part because I don't want those words that were on there to show through. And now I've got this sign. This is also from the Dollar Tree. Once again, I think I had this since maybe last year or the year before, but they've had things like this at the Dollar Tree every year. And I just pulled off the top sign here, and I'm using some hot glue to attach that to the front of my sign. And I felt like this was so simple, so I kind of pulled out all my different twine and ribbon, and I thought about making a bow or trimming out the edges. But truth be told, I really just liked it simple. So feel free to add more details if you like, but I just love how this came out and I was pleased with it. So if you like this video, once again, please give it a thumbs up. That is it for today's video. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I will see you next time.